This week's episode of The Bad Batch is continuing a very important Clone Wars story arc that was seemingly forgotten until now. We're going to talk about why this week's episode of The Bad Batch was so important to the larger story of Star Wars beyond The Bad Batch. But first, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for daily Star Wars content. I know every YouTuber says that and it's cringy, but it really does help the video be seen and help this channel grow. I'd really like this to be an awesome Star Wars community where we can talk about Star Wars in a healthy way. So let's jump into today's video. In the vast universe, there are many mysterious creatures that inhabit different planets. One such creature was the Zillow Beast, a semi-sentient reptilian species native to the planet of Malastare. This is where all the Dugs like Sebulba are from. During the Battle of Malastare, the Republic inadvertently unearthed the seemingly last specimen of the Zillow Beast with an electroproton bomb. This is found in the Clone Wars. Supreme Chancellor Palpatine saw an opportunity to use the indestructible hide of the Zillow Beast to aid the Grand Army of the Republic. If you didn't see this episode, we even saw that the Zillow Beast's armor was resistant to Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber. Things took a dark turn when the creature broke free from its restraints and rampaged through the capital of Coruscant. The Jedi and the Republic army had no other choice but to use a powerful toxin to kill the beast. But Palpatine wasn't done with the creature. Palpatine ordered the creature to be cloned, but all attempts failed until the formation of the Galactic Empire and the appropriation of Kaminoan cloning technology to the Empire. Now, this is where the Bad Batch episode comes into play. Dr. Royce Hemlock finally succeeded in achieving a breakthrough and successfully cloned the Zillow Beast, which was transported and contained in the Wayland facility inside of Mount Tantiss. Now, I've done a few videos talking about the Mount Tantiss connection to the Legends novel Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn. At the beginning of the video, though, I mentioned that this episode of The Bad Batch is tying together other Star Wars stories. So let's talk about that for a minute. The Emperor's interest in cloning has been a reoccurring theme since the 90s when Timothy Zahn released his Heir to the Empire novels. In those novels, Grand Admiral Thrawn inherits the cloning facility that Palpatine had acquired from the expert cloners, which at the time were unknown, but we now know those expert cloners were the Kaminoans. This cloning facility is found on Mount Tantiss, which is also found in the world Wayland. This new episode of The Bad Batch runs in line with this legend story when Omega tells Tech that the Empire has procured Kaminoan technology. And we know that that Kaminoan technology is now being used on Mount Tantiss. Palpatine's interest in cloning has always been a small part of his story, but when he returned in The Rise of Skywalker, it seems there's been an effort to refocus viewers on these cloning efforts in order to explain his sudden return from the grave. Season 2 of The Mandalorian took us to an Imperial Cloning facility where Dr. Pershing revealed the Empire's interest in Grogu. They had been injecting Grogu's blood into test subjects in hopes that they could duplicate the midichlorians in clones. Really, that's so that Palpatine could clone himself and maintain his extreme force powers in a clone body. I did a whole video walking through the Empire's interest in cloning. This episode of The Bad Batch tells us one important thing though, that the Empire wants to control cloning. They eliminated Tapoka City and the rest of Kaminoan facilities so that they could monopolize the industry. This is important because it lays the foundation for later in the timeline when Imperial cloning facilities are found to still be active and working towards the Emperor's goals of achieving immortality. Now, side note, I think that Disney really wants to push this cloning narrative in hopes that it will make Palpatine's sudden return in The Rise of Skywalker seem less ridiculous. And I'm okay with it because the more they build out the Emperor's cloning narrative, the more there is potential to bring in some classic Legends material like Thrawn's use of the Emperor's cloning tech to create an army for his campaign against the New Republic. That's a story that I could see fitting in the canon the way it's going. Of course, the fear is that they could use some of these Legends ideas and butcher them, but with guys like Filoni and Favreau at the helm, I trust that shows like The Mandalorian and Ahsoka Omega can show us the results of the Empire's cloning monopoly well. All that to say, I'm starting to see a clear direction for the Bad Batch Season 2, and it seems like Omega is going to be the key in the next phase of the story. The episode ended with the Prime Minister of Kamino, Lama Su, telling Dr. Hemlock that the key to getting Nala Se to share her knowledge of cloning is a young female clone. That's Omega. I'm really interested to see where this story goes. The Bad Batch has been a weird show with some really good and some not so good episodes, but I think it's all building to a really unique contribution to the Star Wars story, one that has potential to affirm some of the events that are no longer canon but really should be. Let me know what you think of the Bad Batch story now in the comments below. As always, have a great rest of your day and may the Force be with you.